All right, it's 2:38. We can go ahead and call the meeting to order. Thanks everybody for being here and for being flexible on calendar. Do we have anybody for public comment? Going once, going twice. All right. Anybody want to make a motion to approve minutes from March? Those were sent around most recently on Friday, and also were in the email the Friday prior.
Nope.
I motion to approve.
Thank you. We have a second. You might be muted. If you're looking to make a second, make sure to unmute yourself.
I second that.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, all in favor? Raise your hand or unmute and say yeah. In favor of minutes?
Yes, Rashad.
Thank you.
Yes. I don't know if I can.
All right.
I approve.
Thanks, everybody. Next up, review and approval of the annual audit. Joy, I'll make you the host so you can screen share. And I will take my screen share down. All right, you should be all set. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Joy Coombs, and I work with the accounting firm Isles and Associates located in Chicago. And we were hired to perform the 2021 audit of SSA 43. The first page is just the checklist that's required by the city of Chicago. It just notifies you as to which PDF page certain documents are attached. The second is just the cover letter or cover page, our table of contents. Then the first report is our independent auditors report. This is our, sorry, I got sidetracked. This is our audit opinion, which our opinion was a clean opinion, unmodified. Basically that we did obtain reasonable assurance that the financials were free from material misstatements. So basically we feel confident that they are accurately represented. The first statement is the statement of net position of governmental fund balance sheet. Basically, this is kind of your snapshot in time at December 31st, 2021. At December 31st, 2021, SSA 43 ended the year with $363,000 in the bank, less any outstanding checks, and have a property tax receivable of $520,000, net allowance for uncollectible or late collections. This number here just represents the 2021 levy that will be collected in 2022. Basically, it's an estimate of that levy. Then there's a tiny bit of prepaid expense that less $19,000 of current liabilities that were paid in full in 2022. So if we take the 363,000 and we subtract out the 19,000, we'll get our carryover or our reserves of 345,000. That number, those reserves, that carryover will be carried into 2022, which obviously y'all know that by now, since we're in the very end of April. So we proceed, and the next statement is statement of activities and governmental fund. This is basically your profit and loss. It shows that SSA 43 received $499,000 of property taxes levied or late or less refunds. They expended $529,000. So they did utilize some prior year carryover, about $30,000. So January 1, 2021, they began the year, SSA 43 began the year with $374,000. They utilized $30,000 of it, ending the year of 2021 with $345,000. The rest of this is representing different bases of accounting. So it's just for presentation purposes for the city of Chicago. But you will notice over here that we do have 2020. And that in 2020, SSA 43 did not expend all the funds, which makes sense. Because in 2020, I'm sure there was a lot of events and services that were cut because of COVID. So proceeding on, the next few pages are the audit notes required to be disclosed here. Basically just talks about what SSA 43 is, how was it created, who manages SSA 43. It's Riders Park Business Alliance, and a commission is appointed by the mayor. And it continues on. Here's a note disclosing the allowance. So what we do is we calculate how much of the levy has not yet been collected. So for the 2021 year, the 2020 levy, everything was collected except for 6%. So we consider that like your allowance for uncollectability. And in 2020, that allowance was 4%. So normally I wouldn't worry about anything that's still under 7%. When it starts to increase, then you know something else is changing in the SSA, whether it be properties being bought or sold or developed or becoming vacant, that will cause this allowance to increase. Then we proceed on, just again, some general notes to the audit. Talks about how property taxes are levied. It talks about here that in 2020, SSA 43 did receive $27,000 of TIF rebates, and in 2021 there were not any additional rebates received or identified. Note 6 just talks about the payables, vendor payables here. We had some additional accrued expenses in 2020. Here again, it discloses that reserve in 2021, the reserve is $345,000. In 2020, it was $375,000. Note 9 talks about related party transactions. Riders Park Business Alliance is a related party to SSA 43 because they manage and assist with, well, they assist with the managing and of the SSA. And at the end of December 2021, SSA 43 did owe Riders Park Business Alliance $5,700, but that was paid in early 2022. Then we just have a brief note about COVID and how it still has its little claws into all of us, that it's still affecting us with potential delays in future events, as well as potential delays in property taxes levied or uncollectability. So we proceed to supplementary information. Supplementary information is, here is the budget versus actual for the year end 2021. SSA 43 did have a budget of $557,000. They received close to $500,000. They did have a budget to expend $652,000. They expended $530,000. And then we're required to disclose the prior year for comparative purposes, similar to the prior year, except for the spend. The spend was dramatically less, which makes sense. 2020 with delays in programming. And so there is there's two findings for the 2021 year. One category was overspent. Let me see. Oh yeah, okay. So there was one category that's overspent, and from talking with Sandy and Cindy, this was basically an error in the budget. That you'll see that they were still allowed to spend $652,000, but that this number is probably missing a zero. And so the numbers are allocated up here. So unfortunately, it's still a finding because that budget went through City Council. So that stays. The other additional finding for 2021 is excess carryover. So at the end of 2021, SSA 43 was carrying over $345,000. And what we do is we compare that to the total budget of $652,000. And so that's 53%. So from 2021 to 2022, SSA 43 was carrying over 53% of their 2021 budget. So what I wrote here is basically, hey, the first one was a mistake. The version of the budget that was approved wasn't the actual final version. And I also disclosed that management and SSA 43 commissioners will pay closer attention to future budgets, as well as they'll develop a plan to expend additional excess carryover, which probably will not be a problem this coming year. Then we just are required to disclose the prior year finding. We're also required to disclose our current CPA license, as well as the budget that was utilized in this audit. Here's the budget. So that's the whole thing. If anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
The TIF funds, Sandy, what were these from? I don't remember anything about TIF funds that we received.
Sandy or Joy, could you speak to that? Because our district does overlap with the Devon Western TIF.
Oh, so it looks like in 2020, you'll see here, in 2020, SSA 43 did receive $27,000 of TIF funds. So there must be some properties that are in the SSA and the TIF, and either the TIF expired or the TIF had excess funding. So those excess funds are distributed. And so that was this 27,000. Now, the reason why it's zero now is because there weren't any additional excess funding that was identified in the 2021 year.
And if you remember, Urshad, that if we get a $27,000 payout of TIF money, we just have to reduce our budget by the $27,000.
Okay, but we don't know who we got it from or for?
It's from the county. It's TIF funds that were unspent that go back to the taxpayers, basically. And since the SSA is within the TIF.
Yeah, if the TIF has a surplus, it goes to the SSA, which
But for
ended
us,
up,
we're notified in advance that this money is coming before we do our budget, and we have to put it into the budget and then reduce. So that 544,586, that number wouldn't have changed if that money wasn't there.
because that basically impacts the levy. But last year, when we were doing the 2021 budget, they told us we would not be getting TIF money, and drafted the budget accordingly. Hope that makes sense. It's a bit wonky, but that's the way it is.
It's a bit wonky. That's a good way of putting it. It is a bit wonky.
It's party funds. I was just looking to see if you guys might have it memorized, if you're getting any in 2022.
I don't think
Usually
so.
Karen tells us if we do, and I don't recall having seen anything from Karen or Mark to that effect.
Yeah, I think just one of
Yeah,
our
no,
SSAs.
it's zero for 2022.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
And they haven't said whether we can expect any for 2023 or not. I expect that they will in the coming weeks as we get ready to head into budget season.
Okay, if nobody has any questions, can we approve this or move along?
Yeah, somebody want to make a motion? You have to unmute yourself if you're making a motion. Anyone? Be sure to unmute if you're trying to make a motion. I still do need somebody to move.
Any commissioners working? Hello? Junaid, Mohammed, Maura,
I'm still
somebody say
thinking.
something? About, okay.
Oh, do you have a question still?
No, I'm looking through it.
Maura, are you there? We really need to go back to in-person meetings, so there's no multitasking.
Ugh.
You gotta put your face on, then you can't. Right? And they can't catch you
That's
multitasking,
true, that's true.
Yeah.
washing dishes, watching Netflix.
Who else is on, Cindy, on the,
Yeah, Mohammed, Mohammed or Maura, does one of you guys want to make a motion? Or Junaid or Avi, anyone? Just make sure to unmute yourself, please.
Motion to approve.
All
Junaid.
right, thank you.
I second that with Junaid.
Thank you. All in favor?
All in favor?
yes, Rashad.
Thank you. All right, that is approved. Thanks, everybody. That was the only agenda item that I had on for today. Thank you so much for being here. We will meet as scheduled for the month of May. We'll be starting to get into budget prep. So that meeting is scheduled for May 16th. And we will follow up with everybody about, availability for an in-person meeting to try and, make it easier to get quorum and have everybody's full attention and participation. So thank you all for being here today. We really appreciate it. It's 2:55. I promised I'd get you out of here by 3. And we are 5 minutes early. So thank you, everybody, and we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Okay.
No. Bye-bye.
Bye.